Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today, we got another solo album review, this time of the newest project from Ghost, Impera. But this is the sort of album review that I really did not want to do alone, so let's cut to it properly, shall we? And now, joining with me here, Crash Thompson of Crash Thompson. How's it going, man?
That's I still need to figure out a way to get around that. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Thank you for having me on for this.
I honestly was really happy to get you on for this, because this is the sort of one where I didn't feel comfortable doing it alone, and we both have history with Ghost, and
yeah.
I'll be honest, on some level, part of this is deflection, because I know our take might be against the norm, and we may... At least you have some deflection weathering the storm on my channel.
Yes, the thing is, you say that, but I have heard every single take you can think of on this record. No one can seem to make up their mind how they feel about this one. And initial impression, before we get started, I get why. But
yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay, so let's start with this. Did you have expectations?
The thing is, I did. I was one of the people... I know Prequel is one of those records that some people were a little bit iffier on than others. I really enjoyed it. I still go back to Prequel. I still get some stuff out of it. I kind of understand why it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but I still enjoyed that record. And I still figured Ghost was, gonna be able to bring something big, regardless of what happened. I had expectations until I heard that first single.
Yep.
Then kind of tugged my collar a little bit. So I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it's just a bad choice. Hunter's Moon was also a soundtrack song.
Yeah.
It was connected to a movie. I figured, okay, they just fired that one out for the Halloween movie or whatever it was. No big deal. Then the second single came along, Call Me Little Sunshine, and I was like... See, I'm one of those people. I like Call Me Little Sunshine a little bit better than other people do. But... yeah, okay, but it's got issues. It's just listening to that song, I felt like this should hit more than it does.
Yep.
And then that third single came out. Then 20s. Woo!
It's not a good thing when our general response to the song is just, oh no.
Yeah, it's like listening to that, I was... I went off on Twitter. Went off very mildly on Twitter about it. But yeah, that's... okay, just easily. 20s? By 20s? Easily the worst song this band has ever done, in my opinion. Just by a country mile. I was shocked.
I know.
At how bad this song is.
Let's pace ourselves with that one.
Okay, yeah. We need to get to that.
Yeah.
We need to build up to that. We aren't up to that.
Because,
yet,
I'll be honest... my expectations were kind of muted, because it was the sort of thing where I loved Meliora. It's one I liked their albums ahead of this. For me, it's Opus Eponymous and Meliora. Those are the ones I really go back to. I keep thinking that Square Hammer is on Meliora. It's not. It's on the EP.
Yeah.
Fine by me. Even Prequel, I think it was a big change up when it came to production and sound. But the best songs on that album, kick ass. And
absolutely,
even if the entire album is Tobias Forge bitching out his old bandmates, and that's, for whatever it is, at its best moments, it's like, for what it's trying to do, it does it well.
See, that's the thing. Even for some of the more uncomfortable aspects of that record, the music still kicked ass. Yeah. So... I'm willing to be more forgiving of it in that respect.
And the other thing is, I went in blind with this. I didn't hear any of... I think I may have heard, Call Me Little Sunshine, once, but I was trying to keep a lot of distance from it. I heard they got their old producer back, Klaus Onlund. I had heard some interesting things about that, and considering production was my main beef with Prequel, I was hoping this was going to be really good. Now that I've heard it...
So, yeah, what happened? Especially, the production is probably this album's biggest flaw.
Let's start there.
Honestly. Oh my goodness. This thing has absolutely no oomph to it. No kick, no bottom end.
Yeah.
to it. It's an album that's screaming for a bit more. It's like, God, Call Me Little Sunshine. Like, that is a song that is begging for a big, stomping, just colossus kind of feel, but the mix is so treble focused.
It's flat.
It's flat. It is so flat. There is almost nothing pounding or intense about it. It's just... everything feels like it's way too high in the high end and in the treble. Everything.
And right at the front, too, because the one thing that drove me nuts about this album, and the more... I'm going to defend parts of the mixing. The guitars sound great.
Yes, that is the saving grace of this record. Like, man, the guitars really do shred. I got to give it up for whoever is doing
the
that.
Solos are impressive. I'm generally really delving into that. I can really appreciate how generally they pop a lot. They have that brightness that I like. Most of the bass lines are good too when you can hear them properly. They don't have the punch of Meliora, but like there's going to be a part of me that has to stop comparing this album to Meliora, because on some level it's trying to do different things.
I mean, and I understand that, but again, well, that's kind of the whole problem with this album. Ghost's reputation just precedes them so well that I think everyone's expectations for the new Ghost record were going to be pretty high. Even if you didn't care for prequel, however you're supposed to say it, even if you didn't care for the last record, you were still thinking this band was still aces. This band was still
4 years.
Yeah. So.
Like, there shouldn't be any excuse for the production to sound this flat, so close to the front of the mix. I've heard some people say that it's a radio master. I see that in some points, but even then, I have issues. Why do the drums sound like this?
Yes! Where are they, even? The drums are
they're there.
God, it's almost like...
the cymbals are very weirdly mic'd, as it's got this... they tend to linger a little long in the mix. The snare has no punch whatsoever. Yeah. The kick drum has nothing. No.
Yeah, exactly. Where is the kick? Where is the snare? Again, it contributes to that lack of bombastness, The album just seems kind of neutered and toothless because of it. Like, the stuff like the bass drum, the snares, like everything that could have punch was just pushed to the back of the mix and, just kind of disregarded. And again, that blows my mind because the producer is the same one who did Meliora. He did that so well on that record. What on earth happened here?
This is one of those cases where I think this is one of those cases where the band, given that Tobias fired all of everyone who was on Meliora, which I'm going to try to avoid getting into the drama here, just because, again, it's drama that's like, it happens, and fine, it's a Tobias forged vanity project. It drives me nuts, and there will be issues that come with it, but fine. And hell, the guitarist he brought in was, what's his name? Frederick, what the heck is his name?
I believe, it's a guy who works...
in OPEC.
A guy who used to be in OPEC.
Yeah. And you can tell, there's a level of technical complexity that...
From what we can tell.
Yeah, from what we can tell. The one thing that I noticed about a lot of the guitars, not only in terms of how they were placed within the mix, they got a lot of pop, they got a lot of sparkle to it, but he's also a very 80s inspired guitarist. Like, a lot of the shredding sounds like something you would have heard on... not a hair metal album, but the slightly rougher metal that you would have heard, that a little bit more flash, a little bit more pop appeal from like 86 to 93.
Yeah, see, that was another big thing. Honestly, the production does this album no favors, but I feel like the thing that really hurts it for me is just the composition, the kind of general idea and ethos behind this record. Like, even as I was listening to it and we were talking amongst ourselves, the first thing that popped into my head, weirdly enough, was like Motley Crue's Theater of Pain, or like Slave to the Grind, Skid Row. Like, that, it's not a hair metal album per se, but the way the treble is brought out, the way the lack of thunder is in there, it just... I don't know why, but it sounds, like you said, early 90s metal as fuck. It sounds like an homage to 1990. And why on earth you would want to make an homage to 19 freaking 90?
And not the good parts of 90s metal either. Like,
No, it's like late era Winger. It's like late era. It's like late Vince Neil-less Motley Crue. It's like, I see what you were going for, but why?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like Kaisarion, the way that's all in major keys and how bright it is at the very front, and I'm like, this isn't Ghost. This sounds like something that would be on like a bad like B-list cut that would have come out of that era, and it's not catchy either. Or go down to Griftwood. Yeah. Griftwood was the one that really stuck out to me because I'm like, the way they have the delay set up with the guitars, this sounds like a Sammy Hagar reject.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't put my finger on where I'd heard that type of guitar tone before, but I was like, yeah, this is like pre-Van Halen, like just before he joined Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, and like, again, for Ghost, remember, satanic, spooky, devilish fucking Ghost doing all these weird early 90s pastiches, like,
why?
Again, why? That was the main thing going through my head listening throughout most of this album. Just why? I didn't even hate everything about it. When it tries to do that effectively, it honestly has some decent moments. Here and there, and again, I can understand, because there is someone who is this is going to appeal to someone.
Yeah.
It's a very niche appeal. Again, I understand why there have been people defending this in certain circles, but again, like, I feel like, the way I put it, it's like going into Starbucks for a sandwich. Like, they sell sandwiches. You can get a sandwich there.
Why would you?
Yeah, it's like, I didn't really come here for a sandwich. Where's my damn latte? And that's what this album is. Like, I guess Ghost can do 90s, late 80s metal transitional sort of sound, but why would I go to Ghost for that? Y'all, give me my spooks.
Okay, so
give me my spooks.
And let me clarify one thing. I do think there are some decent tunes here. If you separate this from any recollection of what Ghost is, Spillways is a good song.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ballad, back half, Darkness at the Heart of My Love. I hate the snap beat that is there for no reason and sounds so fake, but the hook is good. The hook is good.
Yeah.
The song I like the most on the album is Watcher in the Sky. It's the heaviest song on the album. Heavy, we'll get to.
Well, heavy, yeah.
But it sounds like most like traditional Ghost to me.
Yeah, see, again, there is so little of Ghost on this Ghost record, it's kind of concerning. And
how much of that do you put to the writing? Because, again, this is one of those albums where it's been exposed that Ghost has brought in other songwriters, other Swedish songwriters alongside the regular team. We'll get into that a little bit more when we get to the lyrics, because, oh boy, I have opinions.
Same, yeah.
But I think what kind of breaks my heart a little bit is that, okay, remember Miasma from Prequel? Where it had like the saxophone that blasted through, and it was out of nowhere, and it sounded really cool, and it fit. I think what bothers me with this Ghost album is that every so often you'll get a weird change up or something like that, but it never builds anything.
Yeah, there's just, I don't know, that's another thing about this record. It is easily the sleepiest Ghost record. Like, it is easily, I don't know, the thing is, with everything being so major key, with everything almost sounding like you said, it almost sounds like they're trying to sell this for, like, radio play, or, like, more mainstream appeal, which I could maybe even see Ghost doing, but not with something this milquetoast.
There's no punch to it.
Yeah, no, there's no punch in the mixing, there's no punch in the composition, really, there's just nothing to get excited about.
I hate to say it, like, as this is the sort of thing that comes across bad, it feels like an album of filler.
Yeah, no, again, this album, most filler on a Ghost album I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, I'd argue some of those earlier Ghost records don't have filler. They are back to front classics. Even a lot of the instrumental interludes would still be really, really good. This album just, I have never seen more padding. I have never seen more. There's even the lazy 1.5 minute interlude track where they just fart around on some horns, I think was that one. I don't even remember what it was called, but yeah, there's so much padding, so much of this album feels kind of lifeless and tired. I'm just kind of hypothesizing here. This is me going into tinfoil hat mode, but I feel like Tobias just kind of decided to phone this one in. That's kind of the vibe I get.
I kind of agree with you to a point, and I'll get to why I don't quite think this is entirely phoned in. It feels like it's lacking in distinctive ideas. Like, it feels like it's got he wanted to have a core of something, but he couldn't flesh it out. Like, and at this point, we have to talk about Twenties.
Oh dear, do we have to?
We should. It's Ghost's worst song by a country mile.
Absolutely.
Even before we get to the writing, it has no hook. Or it's this it's the 20s. Well, I'm sorry.
It has a hook, I'd say, but it's going more for annoying and ear grating than actually catchy. And it's not even good. It's not even a good earworm. It's just like, and again, those lyrics. That's probably my biggest problem with 20s. Just like, I know that 20s is like a very political song. I don't know, this album as a whole tries to touch on politics.
More than it should.
Not even saying Ghost...
More than it should.
Yeah, not even saying Ghost isn't capable of that, but... I don't know, I figured they'd be better at it. I figured they'd be more, like, nuanced about the topic. This is just, like... I don't know, this is dumb, like, Jerky Boys shit. There's literally a reference to Trump, which, okay, yeah, that was a big deal the last 4 or 5 years ago, you know, but, yeah, with grab 'em by the hoo-ha, out of all the things you could focus on, you go for grab 'em by the hoo-ha, and the weird song about and the weird lyrics about Pence, too. It's just, you know, I'm not saying Ghost can't bring about a serious topic. I'm not saying Ghost isn't capable of doing that, but I feel like this was the first album where they really earnestly decided to take a stab at it, and man, they are not.
They're not good at it.
I figured it'd be better than this.
My frustration with this, and we'll start with 20s as a whole, because on one level, I kind of get what he was trying to do. Tobias was trying to do something where he was very much of, oh, we're trying to play up a character that would have been proto-fascist at the time and try to mock that character, the mocking a devil kind of character, and someone who was going to be cussing out the Ivy League elite. And I get the mockery. I get why the song sounds like shit. But that's not Ghost. Like, the thing with Ghost that I liked on Meliora so much was that there was a level of enticement that came with them playing the villain and the bad guy. You liked Meliora because, not just because it was transgressive, but because they made the transgression feel appealing. They wanted, when their best song, one of the best songs on the album is He Is, and that's basically a love letter tied in with Satanism. Yeah, and it was great!
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing about Ghost's older material prior to now. A lot of it was, like, based around Halloween evil. Mm-hmm. You know, it was based around, you know, evil as, like, a celebration of the macabre and spookiness, you know? It was like a good horror movie. Hearing Ghost sing about, like, actual evil in, you know, just the way that they tried... Again, that's not what I come to Ghost for, you know. It's like I showed up to a Halloween party, and
the Amazing Atheist
and
showed
there's
up.
A guy up at the top. Yeah. The dude brought his copy of Communist Manifesto, and he's going on the pulpit, and it's like, I don't know, dude. I just came for the punch, and like, I don't know, man. I came to party, and y'all are not really partying here.
So let me put it like this: I actually think they could have made this work. Because as much as they're going to lean into the Satanism, which kind of to some level makes sense, they want to call out religious hypocrisy, they want to call out the anti-intellectualism that comes with religion. The second song on the album, Kaisarion, very much in that spirit. They're saying that the Christian fundamentalist of the early Roman Empire burned down the Library of Alexandria. That's why they reference Hypatia so much. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to do, honestly, not a bad idea. And here's the thing, you and I are both in the situation. Calling out Christian hypocrisy is...
I'm on board.
Yes.
Yeah, you got me, Ghost. Like, this should be butter. Like, this should be something we're all about here. But in execution, it's just not there.
Well, I think we have the easy comparisons. Like, you have a song like Spillways, you have a song like Griftwood, where they're calling out the hypocrisy of religion. And I'm like, you already did this. It was called From the Pinnacle to the Pit, and it ruled.
Yeah, you know. That's the thing. The lyrics on this... bad. They're just bad. It's actually almost like I said in my last video, where I was comparing two songs, one of them being Goofball and one of them being Cornball. And, like, you know, Ghost, up to this point, they could be, when they were being fun and silly, and this album does bank big time on the silly metaphors, on the more kind of, well, silly, more kind of jovial,
right.
More kind of just, you know, they're trying to have fun with it. They're trying to, and you know, up to this point, Ghost could do that and be goofball about it, but this record is easily just cornball in many, many places. This crosses the line from goofy into corny, and it's not... I don't know. I would expect... Again, fertile ground for them to cover. There was just... Man, this was a slow... For Ghost, this album was a slow ball right over home plate, and they just still whiffed it, in my opinion. I don't know what on earth happened.
Well, here's the other thing.
But
I think they could have pushed this direction instead of going all amazing atheist, armored skeptic on this, which, congratulations, 2014 YouTube is now slapping you in the face, but this is like 1990 slapping you in the dick, so, okay, there's some of that with this. So my thinking here, what drives me so crazy about the lyrics is that Ghost had an idea, at least in their earlier albums, where they would play into religion. They played into the emotional power that it had. So going all hard atheistic on this, it feels weird coming from Ghost, especially given that a lot of their appeal is that they're not especially a smart band. They rely on that emotional appeal. So why are you playing against yourself?
Again, like you said, it's the whole thing that where, like, you know, Ghost is so good. Like, I used to say back in the day when I first heard Ghost, I would compare them to basically like satanic praise and worship.
Exactly.
And they were so good at that, but again, going the anti, you know, just being more straightforward about it, losing the pageantry, that's one of the things I think that kind of loses me with this album the most. It loses almost all of that previous pageantry to try and do something a bit more straight-faced, and they cannot pull it off. They cannot pull it off, that straight-faced kind of, let's have a real discussion about things. No, Tobias, you're wearing fucking Kiss makeup.
You can't do this.
And all of your... You can't do this. You can't do this. Especially if you're gonna go hoo-ha, chula, moo-ma. Dude, no, dude, come on.
Well, one thing I will highlight is that, here's the thing, I listen to a lot of, like, extremely satanic black metal. So this is in my alley, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what? If Ghost wanted to make a point and lean into the Satanism side of things, maybe go, like, full, like, eco-progressive about this. Like, highlight how the church throughout the course of, if you want to call it moral hypocrisy, the church burned and killed millions of women, and that Satanism offers them a different avenue. Like, lean into the mysticism side of things, lean into the magic. There's something so joyless about this album, and that really hurts it, to the point where Hunter's Moon feels completely out of place. I would cut it from the album.
Yeah, well, that's that song was obviously just made for the soundtrack,
and it's here to boost streams.
That's basically it. It's like it feels so out of place compared to the rest of the album.
And one more point I want to highlight is that even my favorite song here, Watcher in the Sky, it plays on the whole idea that science is going to be able to push past religion, and that you're looking to the skies, and that religion feels so hollow. I'm going to compare this to two albums that the metal supergroup Avantasia made in the 2010s. One album was all about that. It was all about science and reason and that power that came through. The second album in 2016 was called Ghost Lights. So the Searchlights and Ghost Lights reference immediately jumped to mind. Ghost Lights was all about the quasi-spiritual, the esoteric, everything that reason couldn't fathom, slipping back into the picture. And like, no. You don't have that power. You don't have everything you think you do. And they created this darkness and a sense of menace that Ghost just lost here.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Everything I would hope to, almost everything I would hope to get out of a Ghost album just isn't here. You know, that sense of atmosphere, that sense of grandiosity and bombastness, that evil praise and worship feeling.
It's not there.
It's not there. And there, you know what? Again, I feel like I've been too harsh on this record.
I am too.
Well, the thing is, there are some good hooks. There's some excellent guitar work on this thing. Seriously, some of the guitar work, the lead work especially, absolutely saves this record in places. But man, I'm underwhelmed by this album. I am so crazy underwhelmed, and I never thought I'd be underwhelmed by a Ghost record. That's kind of
heartbreaking.
That's kind of worrying, honestly, because honestly, like if you're not into Ghost, even if you are into Ghost, I'd almost say you could skip this one. That's the thing. It's not like so bad we can like bounce back and forth on it. It has moments like that, but we can't go like all angry reviewer on this thing or anything like that. It's just a lot of it is just kind of bland and kind of milquetoast and kind of, what were you thinking with that? It's not a what are you doing? It's a what were you thinking? What was the goal here, Tobias? And that's what's sad, because honestly, it's a Ghost record that doesn't give me much to talk about, in a sense.
The fact that we're able to wring out nearly a half hour of discussion about this is a sign that there's something here. Here's my thing. I think that Tobias Forge got a little scared to play the full villain. I think this album is such a commercial concession. Between including Hunter's Moon on it, between the overly brighter major tones, the lack of any real atmosphere, how the album was mastered for radio, the fact that it took 4 years for us to get this, to me this feels like it was something that was pushed out to get an album out. And to keep Ghost's name in the whole sphere of conversation, since touring has been gone for the past 2 years. And that's gotta suck for Ghost. I do think that sucks. They are a live act. We've seen them live. They're excellent.
Oh yeah, several times. They're amazing live. Yeah, but yeah, at the same time, it's like, yeah, there's a sense of obligation behind this. Again, that's why my hypothesis that Tobias is either coasting, or he just wrote this from a very uninspired place, or a very... I don't know what it is, but again, it's lacking so much spark. Whatever the reason behind that is, it is very noticeable.
Yeah, and
very,
that's sad. Noticeable. So if you had songs you would recommend off this, what do you think you'd go to?
I would definitely go... Again, you know, I like Call Me Little Sunshine. It's missing pieces.
It's not bad.
You know, there's so much to it, but at its core, you know, give that a remix, and that would probably be a good song. And like the second track, I forget what that was called. I should have pulled up. Yeah, Kaisarion. Another one I definitely enjoyed. And like that second to last track too. That also had some nice.
The one before the instrumentals, Griftwood.
Yeah, Griftwood. Yeah. Like, again, I'm not... The lyrics are cheesy. It's called Griftwood.
It is cheesy.
It's so... But again, like, you know, there is enough technical proficiency there to save it. It's one of those albums, if you shut your brain off and play it in the background and just don't engage much with it, it's probably going to be okay for you. But if you try to engage with it beyond, like, a surface level, a lot of its problems really start to creep up, and...
It's rough.
Man, we ain't had that problem with a Ghost album before, so it is blazing new territory in that respect.
Not what we would like. Crash, where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can find me over at YouTube, just at Crash Thompson. I'm still currently working on my next video. The thing is, I'm kind of torn up right now. I'm working between either my next How to Get Into, which I'll announce here pretty soon, or I'm honestly considering doing a video on Elden Ring. I don't know, I've just had so much fun with that game right now, and I have so much to say about it, so very much to say about it, so next video you can see from me is either going to be another big How to Get Into, or a review on Elden Ring. Again, I'll keep y'all posted, but yeah, you can find me at Crash Thompson on YouTube, all the usual socials. You can find me on TikTok as well. Just look up Crash Thompson or Crash Thompson XO. You'll be certain to find me there.
And yeah, that ought to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I would be extremely grateful. Please go and subscribe to Crash Thompson. He does a lot of really good work. Even if he's not doing traditional album reviews anymore, he still puts a lot of great work and insight into a lot of his commentary. I really hope and we can see some more growth for the both of us. That would be great. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And if you guys want to get involved in the scheduling process or help support the channel or just argue with me about this album on my Discord, a link to my Patreon is right over there. A link to Crash's Patreon will be in the description down there below. I'm assuming he probably might be less amenable to any arguments about Ghost, but if, hey, you want to talk to me, there's the options. Beyond that, hey, you guys don't have to if you don't want to or you can't at this time. Again, if it's not amenable, it makes sense, but options available. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.